Look, it's not uncommon for marriages to experience some sort of variance when it comes to sexual activity.
Right.
But what happens when there is no activity at all? Let's talk about that and much more here on this episode of Couples Pursuit Live.
Couples Pursuit.
Hello, this is Vincent
And Valerie Woodard.
And on this episode of Couples Pursuit,
we're going to talk about what to do when your spouse doesn't want to.
Yes. Sexless marriage.
Sexless marriage.
Yes. Look, we're so glad to have you here with us on Couples Pursuit. Our goal is to give you the tools to maintain and pursue a successful marriage.
Yes.
So if you're new, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. And also hit that like button and share this video, this episode with someone that you know.
Yes.
If you think it can help them. So baby.
Yes.
Sexless marriage. What to do when your spouse doesn't want to. What's your thoughts?
I have several thoughts. The first thought is why? I think that we need to find out why our spouse doesn't want to.
True.
The second thought is, is it the male or the female? Because sometimes we think it's usually the woman who is saying, "Oh, I have a headache," or "I don't feel like it, I don't want to," etc., etc. But sometimes it's the male.
That's
as
true.
Well,
that's true. It's there's the common conception, I guess, that most of the time when we talk about topics like these, we're talking about the man wants some, the husband wants some, then the wife doesn't, want to engage, or it seems like she's not interested, or whatever. But that's, that's really not all the time the case. That actually, in 25% of the cases, is actually reversed. And some studies show that the woman is the frustrated one, that she wants to engage with her husband. She wants to engage, have sex, and he's not interested. I mean, he's avoiding, or he's just like told him point blank, I just don't. Right. I don't want to be.
Yeah, and that brings up the other question. Is like, or the other comment rather, when you ask what comes to mind, it's often it is assumed that when a husband doesn't want to, it's because he's cheating.
True.
And that's not always why.
True.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about 3 topics to try to get you in the mindset, because if you're dealing with this situation, I can understand that it can be frustrating. It can be to a point where you feel helpless, you feel powerless at sometimes, that you don't even really understand why this person, and at the same time, they could be the same ones telling you they love you, they appreciate you, all those things that you like to hear, but then that emotion that you want to feel, that emotional connection that you want to feel, you want to experience, that part is either lacking, or it happens intermediate, hit and miss, or it doesn't happen at all.
Right.
And so we're going to ask some questions to get you to think in the mindset of, like, not so much about what your partner was doing, or what can you do to change them. We're actually going to get you to ask some reflective questions to yourself. Right. And from there, two people don't have to change in the marriage at the same time. Our marriage can start, the change in the marriage for the better can start with one person. It can start with you. Absolutely. And with you ask yourself these reflective questions. And I guess, I think you'll be surprised of the answers.
All right, come on, let's get to it.
Okay, so number 1, the question is that you can ask yourself about your spouse is, are they feeling loved by you?
Am I expressing love towards them?
Do they feel my love? Right. Do they not just know because you said it? I said, are they feeling? Are they having the experience? Are they having the encounter? Are they, could they even tell you, when you say I love you, they'd be like, I know. Yeah. Because for some people, this is lacking in the marriage. And it's due to a lot of reasons, but I think the base reason is the emotional connection between the two. And when that is broken, whether it be mistrust, whether it be
infidelity,
other people are involved into your relationship, sexual or just nosy or just all up in it,
yeah, and sometimes a lack of compatibility. Sometimes we misunderstand that in the beginning, we call it the honeymoon phase, or sometimes people are just in lust when they get together.
Yeah.
And lust doesn't last.
That's true.
It doesn't last. So have you ever developed a genuine connection with your spouse? Because when you develop a genuine connection with your spouse, circumstances don't change your desire for one another. Sometimes circumstances will change your availability to perform. It could be due to illness, medical problems. It could be a temporary thing, like maybe an accident. True. Or sometimes there's pregnancy and difficulty with pregnancy. Many things can happen to you physiologically or biologically that can affect the relationship, other than just being in the mindset that you don't want to.
Well, we're going to get to all of that.
I'm jumping ahead of you again. I'm sorry, dear.
But in this moment right here, we know that men and women they're different,
right?
But at the end of the day, I believe that we both want to be loved and loved unconditionally. We want to have certain needs met, and that we know that we need those needs met by our spouse. I'm not saying that your spouse fulfills you, they complete you. I hear people say language like that, and I don't necessarily agree with that. Hopefully I'm understanding your sentiment that you're so much in love with them, like you just desire them, you want them to be a part of your life. Okay, but you're a whole person before you met them, and
you should be.
And you should be.
Right.
But there are certain needs that you do desire for them to meet.
And that should be met by them.
Yes.
It should be met by them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And them only.
And them only. Yeah. And a lot of times, emotional intimacy is a need that we want to experience. So when I ask the question, does your spouse feel loved by you? Because if they're not feeling loved by you, they can look for love in other places. I'm not just talking about people. They can look for love in things and other experiences.
Right.
Going on day trips by themselves, riding 4-wheelers, for 6 hours a day.
Staying at work. Late and going in early.
Going fishing every weekend for 12-hour. Just whatever. It's
being busy with the kids all the time. Yeah. Because
it's that connection. It's that emotional connection. So are they feeling loved by you? That's number one.
Okay.
My number two. Sexually, are they affected by physical problems?
I'm sorry. I just jumped right in there. Looked at the notes, but just jumped right in there. Yes. Okay. So
there's also another level.
Okay.
Because we dealt with whether you're physically your foot, something could be aching in your body, or you need healing in areas that you still haven't gotten deliverance from yet. But also a woman's physiology. Sometimes she doesn't get the lubrication she needs. Sometimes sex can be painful, whether it be natural or synthetic.
Right.
It can be painful to her.
Yes, that's true, especially for women who are experiencing menopause. Yeah, there are changes in the body, and women who have had hysterectomies. I didn't know this, but I found out that the hysterectomy can shorten a woman's cervix, so it can affect comfort with penetration. And all right, y'all, don't block us. We're talking about pure things here, but that's true, and I didn't know that.
That is interesting.
Every woman is not designed the same.
And so, I'm sorry, before you go that, because I'm a man, so I'm thinking like a man. So when you say shorten their cervix, I think I know what you mean.
The depth.
There you go.
Right, the depth of their cervix. And so that does change their comfort level. And then if they have a hysterectomy and that is not an issue for them, sometimes what is the issue is that hysterectomies will activate menopause. I didn't know that.
That is
I didn't
one to
know
grow
that.
on right there. That is one to grow on.
Yeah.
And also other things like substance abuse.
Ooh, yeah.
The medication.
Yeah.
Things that can affect your body might be causing or helping. Okay, not the substance abuse, but the medication could be taken for high cholesterol or blood pressure, anxiety, depression. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they can also have
But it
side
could lower
effects
your
on
sex
a long
drive.
list. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. That is so true. And we can't always look at people and know what's going on. Someone shared with me most recently that they have a lot of side effects of menopause. It's a woman a little bit older than me, just very little, by a few years. And she was expressing her frustration with her partner who didn't understand. I just don't want to be bothered right now.
Wow.
And it's not that I don't want to be bothered at all, but you don't understand. And she says, I went to the internet and showed him, look at this. This is what I'm experiencing.
Wow.
So you don't think I'm just like being hateful or being unfaithful. It's like you don't understand the changes that my body is going through. And not everyone experiences menopause at the same level, but some have a really hard time with their estrogen levels coming down, etc. And to that end, men also have experiences with losing their testosterone and their drive.
That is so true. And it's a real thing. It's a real thing. Men, and I urge you to go get checked out regularly. Because your doctor. I have this. I started going to the doctor regularly because I started trying to work out more, and now working out. I'm not crazy about working out,
but you're doing good, babe. Keep it up.
But I do like the benefits, not just physically, but I do like that I feel better. I feel healthier.
Yeah.
I also can tell a difference in my energy level.
Okay.
And but with going to the doctor, that they take samples and they come back and they go through all this stuff with you and they'll be like, oh, this level is high, this level's high, this level's a little low.
Yeah.
And then your doctor can ask you point blank, have you been experiencing issues in this area right here?
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, how do you know that? What you
found all that out from that little tube of blood. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're honest with them, they can say, well, you know what? I'm a doctor. I see this all the time. We have issues, things we can do. Not just Viagra. I'm talking about. We can talk about other things like testosterone shots, Cialis, Viagra. Just or just watching your diet because
losing weight.
Some other things can affect.
Yeah.
Your triglycerides, your hemoglobin can be too thick sometimes. That can build up a lot of pressure in your blood, so your blood doesn't really flow like it's supposed to. You understand what I'm saying? So with the blood flow being restricted, that
it inhibits your ability to perform. And it's nothing to if a woman loves you, she honors you and she respects you, she's going to understand. And most time, well, I won't say most times, sometimes a man is afraid to acknowledge that he's having difficulty.
That's true.
And there are some women who will be like, oh, but if a woman loves you, she is your wife. If she has any, if she's been living in this world in the last 20, 50 years, she knows that it's something that can happen.
That's true.
And so, and it's just like with women when they have babies, sometimes they have what is it called, baby? Postpartum syndrome.
Yes. Postpartum
Depression, yes. And different things go on. These are things that happen to people across the board. So it's nothing to be ashamed of, but instead of talking about it, sometimes what happens is, I think probably more so for the men than the women, they'll just like make it like clam up. It's like, oh, I'm tired, I'm sleepy, I don't feel like it, I'm not in the mood, or find something to keep themselves busy. That's because true. I don't want to tell you that I'm not able to perform. Men joke other men about that. And it's another one of those things like, not being sensitive or not showing your feelings. It's like men are made to feel like they shouldn't talk about how they feel, and you definitely don't talk about if you can't perform.
Yeah. It's not something you sit around and share. We can talk about the ins and outs of the football and everything they should have done and but when it comes to our health, there's a lot of questions we actually sit around just it's not actually surface. We just sit around and talk about, oh man, you go to the doctor, how was your levels?
I'm laughing because we talk about everything.
Yes.
Everything.
We do.
Yeah.
And it's
women talk about everything.
Oh, women. But it's also good that I have a friend that is going through some health issues, and he was so adamant about calling other friends that he grew up with. I was telling him, hey, look, make sure you get this checked out, because if you don't get, this is what happens, especially in the African American community with males. This is one of those silent killers for us prostate, that it goes unchecked a lot.
Yeah.
And when you don't get your prostate checked, that can lead to a whole bunch of other problems.
Right.
And it's like, wow, and so first of all, also in the African American community, we don't really we scared of the doctor. Like, oh man, she's just gonna tell me something bad. They're gonna warn you if it's something bad. I believe you want to know.
Would you want to find? I read something. It was actually by an author called Living Good. His name is. He's a doctor, and his name is actually Living Good. And he talked about the fact that by the time we go to the doctor with symptoms, we are already 60% into that illness. Like it's already been accumulating. It's already been in process for so long. So going to the doctor, although, in dealing with the pharmaceutical industry and all of that, it is an issue where you wonder, well, I don't want them to just fill me up with drugs.
Yeah.
But also going is proactive. So you can find out before, you can get ahead of the issue. You don't want to go when your heart is blocked 60%. You want to go and get a check when you can see.
Well, you do want to go if it's still blocked, because you're still able to go, but you don't want to wait that late.
You don't want to wait until it's you don't want to wait until you have a symptom to go on a regular basis and get checked so you can catch it.
That's true.
Early.
That's true. That is true.
You are so funny. Okay. All right.
So my third one is look, what past sexual experiences have they had that might affect them in our current relationship?
That's a great one.
That's
a good one.
Sometimes you can know somebody, for a long time, and you've never really been with anybody else, and that person's never been with anybody else, and you can get married, and so the first time was the first time for you and them, and everything that you experienced together. But there's a lot of marriages that don't really start out that way. I'm not saying that's a bad way. Great, but there's a lot of there's a lot of marriages that don't start that way. We have sexual partners in the past, and not all of them have been great experiences. Even not the partner part, is sexual experiences in the past. Yeah,
not all of the experiences have been consensual.
Yeah. So, and that's something that sometimes men, especially men, sharing with their wives that we had, an experience that
you've been violated, in some way,
or been betrayed,
yeah, cheated on,
it's a lot of things
ridiculed.
That I don't understand why we don't share. I do understand. We have this ideal of the man. The man that we should be is the man that what nothing gets to him. That he's rock. He's the man. He's alpha. Virile, he's
everything. Strong. He's always
the fact
ready.
That you've been violated, or you went through a negative experience.
Yes.
You make yourself vulnerable when you share that information with your spouse.
Yeah.
And men have this sometimes. I say men, but a lot of men have this issue with being vulnerable. With things that can make them cry or make them seem weak.
Yes, make them feel weak. Because the truth is, again, I'll go back to the wife who loves her husband. Love equals respect. Respect is love for a man.
That's true.
And for that wife, she should seek to understand that he has the same set of emotions that she does. And because women are told that we are the weaker vessel, that's a misunderstanding. Weaker doesn't mean that we don't have strength, we don't have physical strength. It just means we're softer. It doesn't mean that how we express and emote is weak. A lot of times men, when they insult one another, they insult one another by calling each other a girl, lady. Yeah. That's supposed to be an insult.
You stop being a B or whatever.
Yeah, or those other words that we don't want to use. But men have those same emotions, and if a boy is violated, or if a teenage male or young adult male is violated sexually, he has the same fears and sometimes and trauma, and sometimes the added pressure of just being a male. If I express this as a male, I'm going to be looked at as, because girls don't go through their life with don't cry, don't we don't. Sometimes it's like suck it up and be a big girl, but for boys it's very, very different. And so you need to be able to express that. Some men take it to their grave, to their deathbed. Of course, if they take it to their grave, we won't know. But I think there are those who never tell anybody anything, and it doesn't make you less of a person. And then once you express to your mate, this is what has happened to me. If it's never happened to your spouse, what you can do is find out how does that affect that person.
That's true.
What can happen to a person, and that goes both ways. Yes. And that opens up intimacy.
That's right, because if your spouse has negative feelings about sex, it's not necessarily always about you. It's not about you. No. Sometimes they have a negative experience, unless something's going on now.
Yeah, unless you did something.
Coming into the relationship.
Like cheated.
Yeah.
That might have something to do with it.
That will have a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
We're not talking about that right now.
I'm just all out of order today, aren't I?
Well, that's good. Together. That is good. But it's possible that your spouse can have some unresolved issues that they just haven't really quite gotten over yet. They call themselves moving past.
Right.
And let's just say for issues, it was the spouse before, not the spouse, or whatever, the relationship before you, could have cheated on them. Could have brought home a venereal disease. Could have treated them rough and unkind. In that area. And so now they got past that. They're free. They're out of that. And then now they're in a relationship with you, and every time you get close, you want to hug them and tightly or whatever. They're like, no, don't hold me like that. Don't talk to me like that. Don't. Where you been? You've been gone too long. They're scared that you might bring home something. You understand what I'm saying? So it's good. Our advice in this issue is to actually have the conversations. About the past.
Right.
And I told my wife when we got married, because I wasn't ready at the beginning. I was like, but you ain't got to tell me about, you ain't got to tell me about everything. You ain't got to
I'm like, where is he going with this?
you ain't got to tell me about every, thing that happened before me, unless it pertains to the issue that we got going on right now. But throughout the years, my wife has opened up more and more, and I think I was able to, but before I was just like, I just really don't.
Well, I only told you about.
Yeah.
What, an instance or two, and kind of regret that I did. Because it was challenging. I mean, it was years and years ago, but it was challenging, and I was like, I didn't realize that it might affect you the way that it did. And I don't regret being honest with you, but I understand that men and women are different in that way. What's in the past is in the past, And so if I ever, I'll just say I understand better now how to relate. And you should know your spouse, and be open and honest about the things that do affect your relationship. And sometimes in sharing what affects your relationship, you do have to share what has happened in the past.
That's true.
And I think that in addition to there being issues with medical or physical, sometimes what happens is, one of the things I was really disappointed by, I used to love to watch Oprah Winfrey when I was early in my 20s. When I saw one time she had Kirk Franklin on, and Kirk was real honest about his pornography addiction. And I didn't like the way she responded to him.
Yeah.
It was like chastisement. Oh, you're supposed to be this and that. Now, I'm not saying, Oprah, don't come for me, sugar. I love you, but don't come for me. Okay? It wasn't like, it was kind of like, well, you're supposed to be this person or that person. I think she really just didn't have the understanding, or the compassion for.
Yeah, I think she was more. I think Kirk Franklin, yes, but I think she was also attacking or really like questioning, like he's like the representative of the church. So
that's what I'm saying. You're supposed to be this or the other thing. But what people don't understand is, as a child, what I learned when I was working in the human trafficking prevention field, what I learned is that young men are exposed, and women too, young girls, exposed to pornography at a young age, and they become addicted to it. And it doesn't matter how beautiful their wife is. It doesn't matter how available she is to him. If they have become addicted to that thing, then it is what drives them. It is what takes their attention. And sometimes it becomes compulsory. Like there are men who, several times a day, they're watching and releasing and watching and releasing, and they don't have anything left for their wife. It strips them of that emotional thing. And that is a spiritual thing that we'll talk about probably in our Bible study edition or in this edition in a more private setting probably. But it's really important that you know that. And what I want to say about that specifically is, sometimes what happens with those young men is they want to repeat what they have seen. And then
the instant gratification of it.
The instant gratification of it.
Any foreplay,
it's just like get to it, get it over.
It's like that's not what not what I had a vision in my mind. My mind it was 2 minutes,
So I don't really want to pleasure you. I just want to pleasure. I want to be pleased. And one of the things that I learned from, I can't remember his name right now. He was from South Africa. But one of the educators that came and talked to us, he told us that biochemically it is likened to a high. And so once they begin to engage in that, they're seeking that high every time. So sometimes what they're watching, it becomes more and more involved. Sometimes it becomes more violent, more rough, et cetera, et cetera.
And like you're numb to what would have gave you, roused in the past.
It's not enough.
It's not enough, so you keep going.
So you
and
keep
then your
going.
wife. She just sees a person. She has children. Sometimes she has work to do, and then you want her to be this.
Well, sometimes it's not appropriate, and I say appropriate like it is degrading or harmful to her and to the person who's doing it. But the mind has gone past that. And so then that opens the door to, okay, well, I know my wife is not going to go for this. So I'm going to go over here and see Trixie because I know she'll do it. And then I'll just try to keep it a secret. And then that creates an issue that may be uncovered. Okay, he's not unfaithful. Or if he's not unfaithful, he is unfaithful. And if he's not unfaithful, then he wants me to do things I don't feel comfortable with that. So
and a lot of men, you have to watch yourself to get yourself in an environment where that's comfortable, that's acceptable for you, like watching pornography or even just watching sexual TikTok videos or Facebook videos and reels or whatever, Instagram, and you look at them, you're like, okay, well, because it's environment today to now, like men know
you
they
see
know
anything
me.
Anywhere.
I'm saying like just in a group, a group of men could be together.
Yeah.
And I've seen it. A group of men could be together and you'd be like, oh man, look at this. man, you see this not like pornography, but somebody twerking or whatever.
Just overt sexuality.
Yeah, it's like they showing us. Oh, did you see her? I'm just like, man, really? Yeah.
Do you even know this person? And why? And it's like, you know how we used to say, "You are what you eat," and health campaigns would use that slogan. But we are what we see, what we absorb. And so, if you're looking at that is the thing that's going to drive you. And the more you see it, the more you're going to want to see it. Yeah. And then you become objectifiers of women.
Yeah, sometimes there's somebody's young daughter.
It's always somebody's daughter.
But I'm just, I mean, like they get to put. They don't even show me. Cause I'm like, look, man, don't bring that over here. I don't even want it across the eyes. I don't even want to glance at it. I don't even want to see you hand to somebody else in front of me. Don't.
And not because, babe, I want to make this point. It's not that you don't see beauty and attraction in other women, but you don't disrespect women by ogling them, by just, ooh. I had an experience where a young man did that in my presence, and I corrected him. I was like, you don't do that. He just stared at this woman like she was a piece of meat and just kept watching her just like so intently with his mouth gaping open, like standing in front of me. And I checked him on that. I was like, that's not okay.
Yeah.
It's not okay.
It must be comfortable in where he's from with him and with whoever his environment, the people that are in his circle. But no, I'm so glad that somebody that, you was able to, especially from a female standpoint. Right. You're like, look, we're not meat. This is not we're not a poster. We're a person. That is somebody's daughter.
We are not
maybe
body
somebody's
parts.
Wife. And how dare you?
It is a violation, and that's something that people have to understand. My personal space is mine. My bubble is mine. And just because you don't physically touch me doesn't mean you can't be disrespectful. And we have taught and supported that boys will be boys, so it's acceptable. Years ago, I know someone who, had their son watching pornography with them when he was in elementary school, and it was acceptable. And I was like, are you kidding me? Someone told me about it who had knowledge, who had witnessed it. And, so it's acceptable that they start, having sex, or it's acceptable that they start watching pornography or being overt, or the chatter in the locker room. It plants the seed for them to over-sexualize women and to be supported for having more than one partner, or,
Yeah. So I know we went off on a little tangent about that, but I said tangent, important. But it's important to understand how those issues, if you are struggling with those area of looking at inappropriate pictures, content, or whatever, how they can, when you come home, it affects your intimacy with your partner because you've actually given that away to somebody else.
Yeah, you're giving your attention to someone else.
And so you're a human being. People say we can multitask, you can do a lot of things real quickly at one time. But you've given away some of the attention that you can be giving your spouse. So sexual desire, what to do when your partner or your spouse doesn't want to. My advice would, just understand that you are only you. And when you are giving something away to other issues, whether it be work, content, whatever, you're taking something away from home. You're taking something away from your marriage. And physically, go get checked out. Go to the doctor. Have a real conversation. So look, I'm struggling with this issue, or I have a question about such and such, or whatever. And be sympathetic with your spouse if they're having physical complications, either due to an ongoing health issue, like we're not getting past this right now, or if it's something that's new and we're both unaware we can't call it a name, but we know it's here. And then my first one was are they feeling loved by you? And that's something that you can do right now after you finish watching this video, is to ask yourself that question: does my spouse feel loved by me? And if they don't, what you need to do is understand, what can I do to give love? Because it's better to give love than just to get love. Right. Because giving is the power of the power behind love. It's the giving. Right. It's like we preach from biblical perspectives, and just like God said, for God so loved the world that He gave. It's the power of giving. So when you give love to other people, even if you're going through some issues right now, don't just retract everything. Work through those issues. But if you still love them and they can respect you, and you're not dealing with physical abuse and all those crazy issues, I'm saying we're just talking about if we had an argument and I don't know how to get past this. Let's start by the giving. Are they feeling loved by me? And then maybe we can work to the reconciliation and all those great things. So it's not just about the intimacy, the sexual intimacy. It's deeper than that. And especially if you're not there now, like you said, there's somebody that you knew that has we haven't been intimate in a while. And so do we want to? And if we want to, what can we do to get back to this place right here? It could be a longer road than you thought it would be. But
that's for better or worse.
Yes, make up your mind to travel it.
And when you talk about how you're feeling, first of all, if you have a connection with your spouse, if you maintain the title of all of this, or the name of our platform is Couples Pursuit, because we desire and understand the need for daily pursuit rather than just having to take time to retreat and reconnect. Right. But our goal and our hope and our prayer is that if you're not connected to your spouse, that you seek connection and reconnection and that intimacy that comes before intercourse.
That's right.
And if you have that, when you foster that, you're able to talk to each other and you're able to find out other ways that you can connect and please one another in the time where you can't be sexual, you can't have intercourse. And true love I won't say true love, I'll say love understands and love will wait. But you do have to deal with the issues. You can't just brush them off and be like, well, I just don't feel like it. Well, I just don't like to. Or this happened to me, so I don't ever want to do it again.
Yeah. Love covers a multitude. And the Bible says sin, and sin is a miscoming, a shortcoming, something that you've done that has not been up to the standard that you wanted it to be. And we say that when our worship to God, that's why we label it sin, because it's separation from God. We know that we've taken steps back. So, but that giving love can help repair those steps and get closer together. So, baby, pray us out. We normally don't pray on Couples Pursuit Live on this Thursday, but I think this is something important.
Yeah. Father, we just thank you right now for your goodness and your grace and your mercy. We're praying for those couples tonight, God. We're bringing them before you. Those that are having issues with intimacy, with intercourse, with being able to connect on a sexual, physical, intimate level. Lord, you created us to be sexual beings, and you ordained sex for marriage, and God, you want us to enjoy it. And so, Lord, I pray that whatever instances they may find themselves in, Lord, whether it's in need of healing in their physical body, whether it's in need of healing in their emotional, spiritual body, God, I ask that you would bring that to them. And I ask, Lord, that they would ask you, if you are lacking, ask God to help you, to show you how to communicate what you're going through with your spouse. For those who have experienced pain and violation, Lord, I ask that you would bring healing to them so that they don't miss out on the joy of marriage. God, we just thank you that the mindset to honor one another with not just with our bodies, but with our words, with our eyes, with our hearts, with integrity, that we don't share the intimate parts of ourselves with other people other than our spouses. God, I ask that you would heal every hurt for those that are healing from issues of infidelity. Lord, I ask that you would restore trust and vulnerability for those who haven't exposed what they have gone through in the past, that thing that might be a barrier to intimacy for them. And Lord, as they listen, I ask that they would also share, because there's someone else who is holding a secret, who is going through something. Those that are addicted to pornography and vile images and things like that. Lord, I ask even for just honesty for them. Just because a thing is acceptable in society doesn't mean it's acceptable for you. And it doesn't mean that it benefits the life of the person who performs those things. So give them wisdom, Lord, to understand that maybe they need to change what they're doing and how they're doing it. And mutual love and respect for one another. And Lord, as we always pray for every listener, God, we ask that you would bless them, that you would keep them, that you make your face shine upon them, that you be gracious to them, that you give them peace, Lord, and keep them all from hurt, harm, danger, sickness, disease, and virus. It's in Jesus' name that we pray. And until next time, we pray that you are well, that you share, and that you can continue to pursue your mate. We'll see you here again next time on Couples Pursuit Live. Bye.